Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. The battle for Bakhmut is, sorry about that. The battle for Bakhmut is the most significant and intense battle that has waged since the beginning of the Ukraine conflict. When you talk about Kharkiv or Kherson, that was not a military victory for Ukraine because Russia conducted a strategic, withdrawal from these areas. When the Ukrainian forces came in, there were virtually no Russian forces remaining in those areas. So it wasn't a military victory at all. In Bakhmut, it's very different. It has been described as a meat grinder. One Ukrainian official has admitted that Ukraine is losing 70% of the forces that are sent there to fight. And at this point, they are conscripting people, giving them a few weeks of training, people that have never fired a weapon in their lives, and sending them into this battle. They're just sitting ducks. They're targets. Another Ukrainian official has stated that for every one artillery shell they launch at Bakhmut, Russia is launching 9. So they're way outgunned. Now, why is this fight taking place? Why Bakhmut? That is where I'm going to bring this map up and what is happening. So as you can see from the pink, Russia is moving in directions to encircle Bakhmut. The reason that it is important, if you zoom in a bit here, Bakhmut is a crossroads. It is a supply, logistics, and transport hub. And it is the last major transport hub that exists in eastern Ukraine, which, by the way, is considered a part of Donbass. Ukraine, I look at Ukraine like a dog, a manic dog. You shake a toy at it, and it's going to try and get at that toy no matter what the cost is. And Russia is using this to their advantage. When you go back to the very beginning of this, one of the statements, the statement all along, the statement of Vladimir Putin has stated that one of their goals is the demilitarization of Ukraine. Well, the more that this battle continues and the more forces that Ukraine loses at Bakhmut, then that's effectively, allowing Russia to meet that goal. So they are doing this. They're not backing down in this case. There's no reason for Russia to conduct a strategic retreat this time. They're not losing that many forces. Not to any scale like Ukraine is. Even Western media is admitting that this is a tragedy for Ukraine. But they don't seem to have the ability to conduct a strategic retreat. They just keep going. No matter how damaging it is, no matter how many of their people die. Why? For lines on a map. So Bakhmut is not a large city. It's just a small town, but it was highly fortified by Ukrainian forces, and those fortifications are being destroyed. When you look at other situations, Kharkiv and Kherson, Russia held back and was highly restrained because of the civilian population that remained there. In Bakhmut, this is different. 90%, by reports, over 90% of the population have evacuated. I'm guessing that it's actually 100%. 80%, with Bakhmut being part of Donbass, over 80% of the population was pro-Russian. So most of them, they evacuated eastward. Only the other 20% evacuated westward into Ukraine. So once the civilian population has evacuated, there is no reason at all for Russia to have any restraint. The entire town and the surrounding area is a military target. This brings up something else. The way that Russia has been conducting their warfare is, as far as warfare is concerned, I have to say that they're conducting this in the most ethical way possible. With all of the missiles, as many as 100 a day, which the West has been claiming Russia was running out of missiles and drones since March. But what do you say when they keep on launching these things? They have been striking energy infrastructure, and they're not even hitting the power plants. They're hitting the distribution centers. So there's still the ability to quickly repair these things. But sooner or later, Ukraine is going to run out of spare parts to repair all of this. And they're pretty close to that. I've got to say, I'm amazed at how many spare parts and all of this that they've had to get any energy back up. And, but Russia has not been hitting civilian centers, which they very well could have. By contrast, Ukraine has been relentlessly attacking Donetsk, launching 200 artillery shells and missiles into the civilian center of Donetsk, which has no military presence at all. They're just killing dozens of civilians a day, destroying the city, and there are other cities that they are striking, which have no military presence. So they are attacking the civilian population, where Russia is clearly attacking the energy infrastructure, military targets, etc. If Russia really wanted to just annihilate the Ukrainian forces, all of those missiles could be directed at the front line, including at Bakhmut. And by the way, Ukraine has been using HIMARS, U.S.-supplied HIMARS missiles to hit Donetsk and other cities. When they're launching attacks into Russia, they're going after civilian infrastructure, civilian populations, etc. Which side do you really think is doing this in the most ethical way, as ethical as warfare can be? I've already stated what my opinion is. But, now Russia has also hit the energy infrastructure in Odessa. This brings up something that I said several weeks back, that I suspect that Ukraine no longer, they have exhausted their supply of grain that is available for export. The infrastructure for transporting this grain, the silos and equipment to load ships, all runs on electricity. Most of it, at least. So if Russia knows this, then they've kind of had a hands-off approach to Odessa until now. They struck, a few months ago, they struck one military target in Odessa, but that's been it. They have not been touching Odessa until now. There's a reason for this. There was a reason to restrain themselves on it, and there's a reason that they lifted that restraint. So Ukraine is out of grain that they can export and sell to other countries. Now, this is a clear indication of this. So this potentially also means that the port at Odessa could become a target as well. Because if it's not being used to transport grain, then it's being used to transport other things like military equipment, which makes the port a valid military target. We'll have to wait and see if there are any more missile attacks on Odessa. But again, just think about it. If Russia can launch all of these missiles, they could have taken out Kiev. They could have taken out Odessa. They could have completely wiped out the front lines. This is all, but they're instead just continuing with the approach that they've been using. So again, Bakhmut is a meat grinder for Ukraine, but they won't give up on it. They're going to keep on sending. They're sending thousands more troops into Bakhmut on a daily basis, while they're losing 70% of their forces. These are human lives. These are people. We don't know how many of them actually wanted to fight at all, or if they're just not given a choice. Reportedly, I haven't seen them, but there have been reports on Telegram of Ukrainian military forces taking people out in the woods that don't want to fight and shooting their own people. Yeah, they consider them traitors. Yeah, if you try to, go AWOL, then you're a traitor to your. And I can see that to a point, but I don't endorse it. I think they should be arrested. But then what? How many are you going to deal with like that? Before you just run out of people, either from combat, injury, or, executing your own people. So yeah, this is absolutely a tragedy, a human tragedy. I don't endorse any of it. I'm in favor of peace. I've said so many times that there need to be peace talks. Stop fighting. Just freeze your forces in place and sit down and talk. There is no benefit to this. It's senseless. It's mindless. And it's helping Russia to achieve their original goal, demilitarization of Ukraine. They're helping this. Anyway, we're going to have to wait and see what happens from here. Share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand this channel and my presidential campaign, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.